There we go.
Good evening. Well, this is the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of St. Charles Parish for March 29, 2021. The meeting is called to order at 6:01. We'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll have a review of our minutes. I think everyone has a copy of the minutes in your packet. Any comments, questions, any revisions? If none, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
A motion made by Commissioner Jackson.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Baylor. All in favor? Aye. Not in favor? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. At this point, we'll do a review of the financial report. We'll return that over to Ms. Hollis, who has our accountant on the phone.
Yes, we attempted to do this at the last meeting. We attempt to do it at the last meeting, and because the process is a little bit different, much more organized, and easier to read. But I wanted to have you guys have an opportunity again to have Anna go over the financials. And Anna, for some reason, it's my fault, but I don't have the UMP. Well, I do have it because it's on our VMS report. But I do want to confirm that our UMP is less than 2,000, correct? Or is it even now?
Hold on, let me look at your it is on your financial statements. I would just have to tell you how to find it. Your unrestricted net position is still showing as a negative on financial statements, but it has come up a long way. But the cash is positive, so that's you have the cash to pay back for the DHAP money that was spent. So that was more of the big thing. The UNP, or the unrestricted net position, is coming up, and we've done really well getting that up to where we have.
Okay, I didn't know. We have the money to pay back the DHAP?
Yeah, you have over $200,000 in cash in your Section 8 program right now, and of that, all that is restricted is about a little over 44,000. So wow. You have the majority of that money that could pay it back, which is what is keeping HUD off our back, because you owe DHAP $173,000.
You guys remember what that was, right? The disaster money that was spent by the previous?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's why we haven't heard anything on the VMSs anymore, because we now have that cash in there. So they're happy with that. Awesome. Okay, so you want to start with Section 8 or low rent?
So, well, Section 8. Let's just start with Section 8 since we're already there. Okay. And the Section 8 has come a long way because they had no cash to begin with, and we were instructed by HUD that we needed to build up the cash to cover the money if we needed to pay it back. So due to not only CARES helping, but just us managing our money better and reporting the financials correctly, we have increased our cash balance so that we could pay it back if they required it. and we have increased our unrestricted net position, which is what the money that is owned by the housing authority. The restricted net position is HUD funds, which is about $44,000. But Leatrice and her team have been working to make sure that everything stays current and that we are reporting all of our Section 8 payments correctly. So there's not a whole lot on Section 8 because it's money in, money out. And as long as your RNP, as long as you have cash to cover your RNP, HUD is good.
Okay. So, I just want to interject because Marilyn, Ms. Jackson, we have a new commissioner, Ms. Marilyn Jackson.
Okay.
Ms. Jackson was not a part of the agency when we identified all the problems that we had. And when she says money in and money out, HUD gives us the exact amount that we need to pay. That's why we can't retroactively pay a landlord. So money in, money out. For some reason, this agency was having money in and disappearing. Kind of, sort of. Is that a way to describe it?
Pretty much, and they used the money of the other program. So yes, you would say the money was disappearing.
Yeah, we
now
were
it's,
Robin.
Now
Robin
it's
Peter.
fully accounted for, and HUD is accepting, or is not calling us every month when we submit our monthly report for Section 8.
Right.
So everything looks really good on Section 8. We still need to increase our cash reserves, and we're working on that.
And we get to increase the reserves by spending some of the CARES money, right?
Well, some of it was CARES money, and then others of it is that we reduced our expenses for managing Section 8.
Correct.
We're monitoring the expenses to make sure that the revenue that we receive is being spent and not any more than that.
How much did we receive from CARES?
Oh.
What did he say?
How much did we receive from CARES? That would not be on any of these things.
No,
Somewhere
no,
like
okay.
about 70, 80,000.
I can tell you exactly. Hold on just 1 second.
Okay.
I have that in a worksheet.
Yep, be ready for any question.
So just my home computer's manages just a little bit different. So for low rent, because low rent also got CARES funds, they received $70,000, and we used all of that money in fiscal year in March or September of 20.
Okay.
So that it would not be left over.
Mm-hmm.
The CARES funds for Section 8 are, my worksheet will pull up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, CARES funds for Section 8. How much should be on this worksheet? Hold on. Need to go back 1 year. And Section 8 money was deposited in the account, so they gave it to you regardless if you asked for it, whereas in low rent, you had to draw it down and spend it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a little bit different rules for each.
Right. I don't do draws for Section 8.
So Section 8 CARES funds received were $84,999.
Oh, good deal. And we've used those funds, the Section 8 funds?
We have used those Section 8 funds because we were allowed to use them for normal operating expenses. And so that's how we got our cash up and just reimbursed some of the expenses that the Housing Authority was paying out of their other operating funds.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions on Section 8?
No, it looks like we're operating with some cash on hand and we're paying our bills, so that's a good thing.
Right, her process is much more simpler.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, the other way that it was being reported was like we was trying to figure out where the money was.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a lot easier to follow
clear.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, ma'am, no questions on Section 8.
Okay, so on low rent, we don't have as much money in the bank, and we do need to work on that because it is holding our MENOR down. Part of that is that Leatrice has had a little bit of trouble trying to draw her operating subsidy, but we've started accruing that into the calculation because it was making the numbers look like they shouldn't be. So we do need to increase our assets for low rent. But with that being said, we still have an operating surplus right now of around $20,000, which is not bad for a housing authority, but they do want you to have 4 months of operating reserves.
Mm-hmm. When you say we want to increase those reserves or funds, how can we do that? What do we need to do?
There's nothing we can do. We're about to reposition. We have money in. We have over $500,000. We have money in ELOCs, but because we're zero tolerant. Normally, you do a draw. We have to do it line item by line item approval prior to draw.
Okay.
So it's there. We're gonna get it, but it's just not worth the fight, especially with the transition we're going through.
That's right. Okay.
But we're going to start spending it, and we'll be able to draw it down. We have a lot of expenses that we're going to occur.
Where do we
in the
need to
Are you
be?
saying we have $500,000 somewhere?
Where do we need to be? What's the benchmark? We said we have
At least 4
20,000,
months.
right? So we need 4 months. So
At least 4
what's
months.
the dollar amount? Do we know?
What's
Yes,
our
so
average? What's our average monthly expenditure?
Your average monthly expenditures are currently
About 40.
they're averaging about $68,500 for the last 5 months.
Yeah, and we have one less employee now too.
Right, and I'm thinking that some of these expenses, and I need to get with that. Like our maintenance salaries are double what we budgeted at this point.
Well, Fred is no longer with us.
Okay.
There was some changes that we made. When I allocated, I took some of the hours that was being attributed to the HCV program.
Mm-hmm.
Like Charles, for instance, who actually does our inspections. I could have allocated, but I moved him back. And the reason I moved him back is because of problems we had. We may need to revisit how we're going to do that from here on out.
Okay.
At least 50% of Charles's salaries. On maintenance, overtime, we've had a lot of overtime.
Yeah, we've had a lot of overtime due to this.
COVID.
So, a lot of like our maintenance costs are about $12,000 over budget for the first 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
But most of that has been attributable to the storms that we have had.
Right.
And you can tell because of the categories they're in. It's in overtime and it's in a lot in plumbing.
Yeah. We've had to replace pipes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Two.
Something we do that in-house?
No.
No? So a
No,
lot
we
of
have
goes
to
out.
bring a contractor out. Maintenance cost is not just their salaries. Maintenance is
Right.
anything well, you're a property manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's from their salaries to the different contractors that come in, and it also includes benefits.
And it
So
includes
when
benefits.
I say it's over, but it's mostly over in salaries and plumbing at this point. Benefits is over a little, and there's some categories that are down, but overall it's over budget.
Okay, Fred, just an update. Fred Rodriguez is no longer with us, so we only have 2 maintenance staff people now.
Okay. And so overall for the first 5 months, we're behind in the budget about $50,000. Part of that is because we haven't been able to draw all our funds, and then some of our expenses are over budget. It's not a horrible place to be at this point, because of the way everything works with HUD. One of the things that we need to talk about, we usually do this around 6 months, is I noticed that we haven't drawn down our 1406 funds. So what 1406 funds are, they're capital funds that you can put into operations to cover maintenance expenses or anything you want. And usually whenever you get those, you go ahead and draw them down.
And I did attempt to draw them down.
Okay.
And I thought last year when we did the draw on the on that particular line item, I didn't need to supply any type of supporting documentation. She wants
Correct.
she wants a line item by line item.
Okay, well, call me and I'll help you do that, because we'll just do some of the expenses we've already paid. So
Gotcha.
we can work through that.
Awesome.
So I think once we get released from having to explain everything, it's just such a delay trying to get money. Our rent looks good. We've collected, or our rent collected is 116 versus budgeted of 104. So we're doing well there. When we took over St. Charles in 2019, we had trouble getting our data, our information from them. Now we get it weekly, so by the time the 5th or 6th of March or of the month rolls around, we've already got 90% of their work in the computer and ready to do any adjusting entries. Our accountant checks our Dropbox. Matter of fact, we checked it today to make sure we had everything up to date. We had information there through the 23rd of the month. So all of that has already been posted in our system so that we can have financials out by the 10th or the 15th of the month. We try for the 10th on this account because we get all the information so quickly. So it has, when we first took it over, we struggled to get the information and to get the backup, but now they understand that we're not going to get financials out unless we have everything we need. We get it all. Mm-hmm. And we get it quickly. So Brandy does that on Section 8. Anytime I have a question, I get answers immediately so that I can make sure that the VMS reports that we have to do to HUD monthly correspond to the financial statements.
When I'm seeing it says, again, in a program due from Section 8, what's that about?
I didn't hear what he said.
He's asking about the due to payroll.
That's
okay, so payroll comes out of the low rent account, and then they reimburse salaries, or Section 8 pays for some of the salaries. So those go back and forth every month, and we try to keep it to a minimum and make sure the money is transferred between the accounts.
So we're not borrowing. It's just that paycheck only use one checking account.
I got you. Okay. I just want to...
Yeah. And most companies do that now. They used to do 2 checks, but it's ridiculous to pay one employee 2 checks from the same company. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I just wanted to make sure what it was and what we done. So,
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
We don't borrow. We don't have to borrow from programs anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So, I mean, overall, in the last year and a half, things have gone really well. We got off to a bumpy start. We told them this is what we have to get financial statements out. You know, we have conference calls with HUD. HUD has been pleased with what's been going on. Hopefully she'll get her disposition done soon so we don't have to mess with HUD anymore. But things don't move very quickly with HUD, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I can say that your reports are much more timely, extremely more timely, and easily readable and able to follow.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because sometimes I don't care for some of the reports that you get out of a canned system, but our software provider has actually worked with us to help make some of them better. So
yeah, it's really easier. I'm speaking for myself. I hope for other people too.
Where is there any other area that you have identified that we can maybe make some cuts in expenses, or is it just that maintenance has been, like, just have a lot of maintenance, and that's the biggest one.
It's our aging inventory.
Right.
It is the condition of our buildings. We don't have very many contracts.
So, when, I don't know, just fill me in, because I don't know, but that infrastructure will be changed,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So
Yeah.
we can almost say that cost will be a lot lower when we do the reposition, right?
Definitely.
Because they're going to check that out.
Because it's going to be new.
Because that was in my mind already, so I was just trying to see if there was another spot that we can improve on, since we already know that is going to be taken care of in the future. Is there something else in operations that we can improve on that's not maintenance, because we know that's going to be taken care of?
That is correct.
Yeah,
and our operation costs, our income is going to triple.
Yeah, that's true.
Leatrice, there's some legal, looking at it, it looks like the legal is high, but I'm thinking that some of that has to do with the demo disposition, and we probably need to drop it below the line. So
No. It was directly related to some lawsuits.
Lawsuits, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that's gone.
That's gone, okay.
Yeah, that's gone. That was it.
We've cut expenses quite a bit over the last few months, and I can probably, if you'd like, I can get a report that'll kind of show that. We have what they call a trend report that'll show you expenses by month over a time period. I can look at that and see what it looks like, but we have cut some expenses. We're still working on trying to, maintain everything, but having to report to HUD is the biggest, trying to get the funds down, because it's very tedious for Brandy and Leatrice to make that list.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm hoping that they release them off of that soon.
Okay.
With Brandy, note, can you send an email to all of the commissioners with a copy of the draw sheet and a voucher, so they could see what, in addition to what Anna's going to do, what we spend money on.
And look at the other revenue. We got the operation subsidy. We have a substantial amount projected. Looks like.
Which page are you on? Look at the very bottom
page.
Huh?
Well, it shows you. I don't know.
Page number at the bottom.
It just says page 1.
Okay.
Page 1 of the operating statement.
Gotcha.
I can see what we have. What we have amount budgeted. Looks like. Oh, is that the year-to-date amount?
I'm not following you.
Yeah, the operating subsidy that we should get for the year should be around $465,000.
Right. So we have a lot that we haven't used up.
Right.
Correct.
Our money is sitting in locks. It's not sitting in our bank account. We have over $500,000.
And in order to access this money, we need to be at, what do we need to be?
We need to, it's not what we have to be, we're zero tolerant. I have to literally give them a receipt of everything that was paid, and it has to be detailed.
It has to be detailed, okay.
And I have to get their approval before I can pay bills.
And the same thing with I see another one that looks like we haven't really tapped into yet, but we have a high budget amount, looks like this is the 1406. So we haven't used any of that money.
That's what we're trying to access right now.
That's what we're trying to get. So
I
the money,
want to talk to you about that later in the week, because that's just 2019. We probably also have some 2020 1406 funds that if they would release those two items, we would have our 4.0 MENAR.
Yeah, I do have 2020 and 2019.
So that's part of why the financials don't look like they should, because of them holding the money, but we're working with them to try to get that released.
Okay, I got a question now.
Oh, we send it's
Not-
1099s. We don't normally send the commissioners 1099s.
But I'm saying you got my name right here, like you sent me a check. That's what got my attention.
It might be a check. Is it a trip? We're dealing with 1099s.
I'm looking
Okay.
I'm looking at right now First National Bank,
$625.
low rent, where it says you sent me a check for.
Leatrice, are you asking me a question?
Well, first of all, we were trying to figure out why the commissioners received 1099s. It had to be a travel. It had to be a travel. But
it would be a travel.
it is a travel, but in the past, they didn't get 1099s, and that's what he was concerned about.
We didn't
If the
travel in
check was
2020.
written to them and they get over $600, if they have checks written to them for over $600 for anything like that, they should get a 1099 by law.
You know how we give you stipends every time we go on a trip? We pay for that, and we give the spending money.
But when we went on a trip, we didn't go on a trip in 2020. It was COVID, and
No, it's probably the
He didn't go to
Washington
D.
trip.
He didn't go with us.
I didn't go
Okay.
I didn't go to Washington.
We had
I went to Atlanta in 2019 or
No,
something.
nobody traveled last year
Nobody
because of
traveled.
COVID. Oh,
because
no,
there was
Webb
something
and I
planned.
did, huh?
But I thought there was something
Yeah,
planned
right
and we
before
canceled
COVID,
it, right?
y'all
Or it
had
was
some
canceled
travel.
That
because
was
COVID.
19. It's going to be in 20, right?
Yeah, this will be 20.
So, yeah, it happened in 20, in 21. It might have happened the end of the year. Is that Vegas? Did we give you
We
your
didn't go to Vegas.
We didn't go to Vegas. That's what I was saying. That was planned, but
No,
it
but
was.
we had checks. Webb and I had to reimburse for that.
I didn't get a check.
Checks were, we'll determine what that is. I don't know what it is. If there's a check number, then we'll be able to identify.
I'm seeing something in this report. It just got my attention here.
It have a date, and we'll have a copy of the check.
Yeah. Okay.
Look at the date,
It says 3/11,
2020.
311?
3/11/2020.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Again, I
I
don't
looked
mind
that up,
paying the
too.
taxes, but
She
I want to
gonna
receive.
go. No, she gonna go find it.
And whose name am I looking for?
Rodney Woods.
Rodney, okay.
What is this February?
And what was the check number he said? 311?
Go back. No, they have the check number too.
266.
266.
266. It is right here. 640 for the Nelrod Consortium.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
That's we went to Atlanta. Okay,
That's a training.
Right.
But it still shouldn't have hit you like that.
something still.
Did we write the check to you so that you could pay for the hotel? We need to revise how we do that. If it's going to
Right,
result in something like that, then we need to pay for everything through the office. We have credit card now.
Okay, so let me tell you how to handle this. If that was a check written to him because he paid for it, when he does his tax return, if he just says, I received this money, and then he can write it off as an expense for that money received. Like if he had to pay for the travel or he paid for it, the course, then he can write that as an expense and it will be a zero earnings.
And Brandy could give you the supporting documentation for it.
Okay.
So if that's what that was, I mean, if it was just for travel, if it was $645 for him to travel, then he could write off his travel expenses against that. And it would still reduce the amount. So
Gotcha.
it's only if they get a check directly to them that they would have that money, and it was over $600.
I'm just
Okay.
curious if we did that in 2019, I get a check dated 3/11.
No, we're going to have to pull that check.
Yeah. Okay.
Brandy, you got the information?
I don't want to get in trouble.
We're going to have to pull that check and supporting documentation. Any check that's written, we have supporting documentation for it.
Okay.
And that's what she's talking about when she says that we're getting her the
Yeah.
information.
Okay. All right.
And we have to also give it to her.
Especially since I'm the only one. No, it was you and I that went on that trip.
number 266. Check number 266, and it was written on
It says 3/11/2020.
3/11/2020. I can't remember. I do know that Webb and I went to DC in January.
And
That
you and
was-
I did the Atlanta thing in 2020.
I don't remember
can
when it
tell you-
was.
It was 2018 or 19, one of those years.
Oh no, that wouldn't have been on these. That wouldn't have been here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I have
And that could
copies
have
of the
been,
checks.
that could have been 2019. You're looking at an accumulation of the year. She's recording everything that occurred in our fiscal year.
This happened in March. It was a check dated 3/11/20, and all it says on it, I don't have the invoice, but I have that it says Nelrod Consortium, and $645 was given to.
Yeah, that's the commissioner's training.
Right.
Okay, that's the commissioner's training. We did in fact go to that, and it was about $600 and some odd dollars. But you weren't the only commissioner that went, so it had to be something we did in the way that we paid you. I went.
You mean that was our Atlanta trip?
Yeah.
In 2019.
But listen, our year, this year started in September of 2019. Our fiscal year started in September 20.
October 2019.
October 2019, and it would end in September 2020. Our fiscal year goes from October to September.
But then,
So even though you're reading it like it was last year, well, it's still part of this year. This year doesn't end until October. Correct? Am I saying that right?
It ends in September, so it runs from October of 19.
We're
gonna figure it out.
Yeah, we're
I'm
gonna
good.
pull a check. We're gonna pull the check.
Didn't receive a check this month.
But that
Okay.
training would have occurred in the fiscal year.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We good.
He's been concerned about that 1099. I would be if I had to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
But she just
Well,
told
I
you how
want
to
to say
deal
that
with
was
it.
the money for. I want to say that was the money for travel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's the only time. That's the only time that we write checks to the commissioners. It's
Right.
for travel.
So he should have travel expenses to offset that.
Right.
So-
Brandy would have something.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, if y'all have any more questions, I'm going to work on getting a trend report so we can look at how expenses have been going, and I'm going to work with Leatrice on those 1406 funds. Does anybody else have anything for me?
No, ma'am.
So with the 1406 funds, if we pull that, we'll be able to have at least 3.5 months, right? Of Operation
I think
Reserve.
If we can pull 19 and 20, yes.
Yeah. So we'll be almost where we're supposed to be.
Correct.
All right. Anna,
Okay.
again, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And
Y'all
as
have a
soon,
good meeting, and if y'all have any questions for me, just give them to Leatrice or ask her for my email, and I will be happy to handle them for you.
yeah, everyone has contact information for Anna, right? Didn't we generate an email so that she would have their information and y'all have her information?
I kind of remember one, but we could re-get it again.
Yeah.
We can get it again.
All right, Anna, that is the end of our meeting.
Okay, thank y'all very much.
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
No new business.
All right. Nothing from our maintenance, Mr. Taylor. Anything for us?
Only thing is, this
Oh, we need the resolution. We need to pass the
1
resolution.
second on the financials though.
One second. Hang on.
I was gonna make a comment. The only thing I see on here that I would hope will go down, and I'm hoping it will be the insurance seems kind of high. I know it is what it is, right? Or
What insurance are you looking at? Our insurance is extremely high. It's about $68,000 a year. Matter of fact, we have to renew.
So I'm like, is that something that?
It's a pool system that all housing authorities participate in through Gallagher.
Okay.
When you
I'm
say-
just trying to cut expenses. That's all.
When you say that, you mean like
And it's gonna go up.
It's gonna go up, even with
It
so
is.
with delivering new and better units, it's gonna go up.
It's gonna go up because we're getting a discount because we're participating in a pool with all the housing authorities.
Gotcha. But when
It's gonna be market insurance. We're gonna have to go out.
wow. Okay.
It's like the apartment complex.
You're right. Yeah.
It's gonna be like an apartment complex, but don't worry about those things because
Because we're gonna
remember
have more income. So
we
we're
get
better off.
$400 and some odd $1,000, less than $500 per unit a year,
Right.
and now we're gonna get market rent per unit every
Right.
month.
You're right. Our income's going
I
up.
got you. So that's gonna balance that out. Okay. Ms. Hollis, is that resolution in this packet?
I am going to get the resolution so that you can read it.
Okay.
Thank you, Brandy.
Okay. So we have a resolution that we're hoping to pass tonight. The resolution is Resolution 01-03-23-21. Resolution approving the updated Housing Authority of St. Charles Parish 5-year annual plan. Whereas the Housing Authority of St. Charles Parish must have an approved updated 5-year annual plan, and whereas the Housing Authority of St. Charles Parish developed a draft plan and held a public hearing for review and comments, whereas all received comments and concerns have been reviewed and incorporated in the final draft and are now submitted to the board for approval. Now therefore, the Housing Authority of St. Charles Parish Board of Commissioners at their March 29th, 2021 scheduled board meeting at the St. Charles Parish Courthouse, Hornville, Louisiana, adopt the revised Housing Authority of St. Charles Parish 5-year annual plan to be approved for implementation at the March 29th meeting. I have a motion for approval.
It's in your January, but you should have a hard copy that we would circulate. Here's one. It's in your January. You can have that one. That was the public hearing we had today.
That was what our public hearing was about.
I'm getting the, trying to get the number. Trying to get the resolution number.
It's in Rodney's hand.
The resolution number.
Oh, me. Mr. Chair, I'd like to pass a motion to approve resolution.
You need a number.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pass a motion to approve resolution 01032321, the resolution approving the updated 5-year annual plan.
Have a second?
Second.
A resolution, motion made by Commissioner Bailey, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Not in favor? Motion passes.
You recorded that, Brandy, because I see that there are clearly some errors on it. So it's going to be retyped.
Yeah, the date was,
Speak out the errors or?
No, we're going to retype it. As long as we have to record it, and I have to sign it.
okay, so now we do have an updated 5-year plan, which allows us to move forward with our conversion.
That is correct. I'm submit a copy of it to the parish president and a copy of the certification to get his signature, so we may submit.
Okay, all right. Okay, public comments, any? Seeing
Mr. Officer saying go.
Seeing none from public comments are closed. We'll take a motion for adjournment.
Sir, I'd like to pass a motion that we adjourn tonight's regular meeting.
Motion made by Commissioner Bailey, seconded by Commissioner Baylock. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 6:40 p.m. Thank you.
Today is the 30th.